Welcome back to All About America's Team, brought to you by Delahanty Media. And this is Lions Week, where the Dallas Cowboys will be taking on the Detroit Lions. This is most likely going to be their easiest game of the year, other than the Chicago Bears the upcoming week. But before we break down and dive into this game, we'll start with the news. So, as always, Owen, what do you have for us?
So Damone Clark, Dallas's linebacker that they drafted in this past year's draft, I think he has one more week to be added to the three-man roster. And apparently, from what I've been reading, his medicals, and everything, they look good. So hopefully, he'll be able to play and add some youth to the linebacking room as well as add a spark to the special teams unit. Um, Michael Gallup looks good. He mentioned that um, Dak's looking good in practice, so that's always a positive. Um, Dalton Schultz, I think that the injury report is probably the best injury report we've had all season, which is good. It's good to be healthy or to be getting healthy when you're 7 weeks into the season or going into your seventh week. So yeah, it's as Ray and I have both stated, even a few months ago, this was going to be the hardest part of the season, and Dallas is out of it at 4-2. So now they can, like Ray said, go into some easy games or easier games, and then have the bye week, and hopefully be above 500 then. Um, and then you have the Packers, and then you just go through the season, you ride it out. So I'm just thank I to make a long story short, just injury report is pretty good. James Washington had a chance to come back, so the troops are coming back.
Yeah, and just a quick point of order. DeAndre Swift of the Detroit Lions has been a limited
Yeah,
participant in practice all week. He expects to play, so he will be after the Cowboys' unfortunate showing as stopping the run against the Eagles last week. They'll have to deal with DeAndre Swift, who is a very competent running back, passing and running. So hopefully they'll be able to contain him, and we'll dive a little bit more into that later on. But yes, I agree with you. It's nice to have everyone healthy and back. Um, they managed to get through a stretch even with Dak Prescott where they were predicted to at least lose three out of the six games that they were playing. They were able to get through it. Um, and get four wins, be at 4-2, and really I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be 6-2 going into the bye. But once again, we'll dive into that a little bit later. But um, that's about it for news, I think, right?
yeah, I think that was a very good job. So why don't we just go right into Lions, and by all means, you please start.
Yeah. Well, the Detroit Lions they started off this year flying high on offense, where they've even with the unfortunate shutout against the New England Patriots, they're still ranked at the seventh best offense in the league. They have a lot of skilled positions on the offense. TJ Hawkinson, a very competent tight end. Amon St. Brown has been tearing it up this year. They still have DJ Chark. Um, I, DeAndre Swift is coming back, and Jared Goff has been a competent quarterback for them. So there's definitely a lot of people on a lot of personnel on their offense who need to be accounted for. And it will be a test for the Cowboys defense, who did have trouble stopping, the Eagles, who had great running backs, and then on the top of that had great pass catchers as well. And Jared Goff, well, he's not as talented running as Jalen Hurts. I do believe he's a better true passer than Jalen Hurts. So he's gonna be able to be a little bit more consistent throwing the football than Jalen Hurts would. But they're also losing that running ability. But Jared Goff can run, so that's not like they'll have to pay attention to him getting out of the pocket too. He's not immobile like Tom Brady. He will spread the pocket and get out. So that'll be something to keep watch of. But really, I don't think the Cowboys should. This people are calling this a trap game in the sense that everyone expects them to win. Dak's coming back, all that stuff. I don't think it's a trap game. Um, the Detroit Lions, their numbers speak for themselves. Other than one bad game where they've scored 30 plus points every game, so the Cowboys defense is definitely on watch for that, and they're not going to take them lightly. I would hope. I don't think Dan Quinn will take them lightly as the defense coordinator. He'll have them ready to go and prepared. Um, but I really think it's going to be on the offense, and with the Detroit having one of the worst defensive secondaries and basically defenses in general, I don't think it should be much of a problem. And Aiden Hutchinson's kind of been a disappointment. Tyler Smith should be able to handle his own, I believe. He's had the way better season than Aiden Hutchinson, so I don't really see much of an issue. Maybe the Detroit Lions keep it close for a half or 3 quarters, but I don't see I don't see this game being much of an issue. I say the Cowboys will win this game by 2 scores,
Do you have
and
any
I'll save my score prediction for later on in the show.
do you have any like hot takes or players that you think are going to shine, or players that you think are going to underperform?
I think that the Cowboys are going to. My hot take is I think that the Cowboys' running game is going to lead them to the victory over the passing game. I think everyone's expecting, with Dak coming back, there's going to be a 500-yard passing game, or CD's going to have 100 yards, or Gallup's going to have 100 yards. I think it's going to be, Dak's going to have a good game, but not a great game, like 240, 250. And then I think that the running game's really going to lead them. So I'm going to say Zeke rushes for 100 yards and Tony Pollard also gets 100 yards.
That would be a very good prediction. I think one of the last times that they did that was against the Rams a few years ago. I think in December or November, and that was a good game to see.
Mm,
Um,
very good.
so you and I, one of the things that I wanted to mention was Dallas leads all teams with 24 sacks that they've accumulated over the last 6 weeks, and the Detroit Lions have only allowed 7 sacks this year, so that means that obviously the offensive line has been playing really well. So this might be one of the best, if not top two offensive line that they've played so far. I think that's going to be difficult. Um, and I do think that, especially coming off of last year where Dallas was very turnover happy on defense, they accumulated a lot of turnovers. Everyone had kind of expected that to take a decrease this year. And they've been getting a lot of sacks, and it's been great. But when you're going up against a team who the only team that's been better against, no, they're tied for the least amount of sacks with the Chargers. So to be able to have that type of success um, on your offensive line will, like Ray said, will allow for a better running game and will allow for obviously Jared Goff to have more time in the pocket. And as you mentioned, he's a pretty good passer of the football. So for him to be able to have that type of time in the pocket is a great thing. But I do have differing opinions with Ray on the outcome of this game. I think that Dak, coming off of his week one performance, did not look great, and for whatever reason that was, not really sure, because I think that was probably one of the worst, if not the worst game that Dak has played in his 7-year career. Um, Seven, I think. Um, but I don't think that Dak's going to have a horrible game. I don't think that he's going to be the Dak that we saw for the better part of last year. My hot take, I guess you could say, is I think he'll throw 2 interceptions just based off of the fact of him not really having any game experience for a few weeks.
Lord.
Um, and I don't think that's because he's a bad quarterback. I just think it is because when you haven't played in a few weeks, it's difficult to go up against any team. And obviously, the Lions aren't one of the better teams. They allow a lot of yards, but they also get a lot of yards. So it's it's a happy medium. Um, but yeah, I do I I do think that I wouldn't necessarily call this a trap game. I do think that Dallas Dallas will lose this game, and we can get into our score predictions. Um, a little bit later. But Ray, do you have any comments on my analysis?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit baffled. Um, I mean, for really, if you've been following the show, Owen's been on quite the Dak Prescott roller coaster from the preseason and the off season to week one, basically saying that he's done and he wants Bryce Young, um, to campaigning in Dak's favor the last couple of weeks, and now all of a sudden he's picking him to lose against the Detroit Lions in his first game back. So, I mean, it really, I guess you could call Owen the TV entertainment every week. You never know what side he's going to be on, but I mean, I do think you're not too far off. I mean, we did see last year the high expectations of Dak coming back after the bye week against Denver, and then just completely laying an egg and getting shut out basically throughout the game until the very end, where he had two garbage time touchdowns. I think the difference between this game and the Denver game is Denver's defense is not anything to sneeze at. They weren't last year. Um, their defense was very solid, and it's continued to play really solid. Unfortunately, they drafted an apparent fraud in Russ, or not drafted. They traded for an apparent fraud named Russell Wilson, um, which I'm very disappointed about, and we will not speak about for until a later time. But um, their defense is very good. The Detroit Lions defense, however, is the worst points allowed defense in football throughout the first 6 weeks of the year. They've given up 30 plus points every week, and teams go up and down the field on them. And I mean, Bailey Zapp, a late round pick by the New England Patriots, went crazy on the Detroit defense and basically looked like he should be starting instead of Mac Jones. And I mean, he continued that into the next week, but I mean, Detroit's defense is not very good. Jeff Okudah's been okay, but he's only one guy, and their defense is just not. They're 2 or 3 years away from being a solid defense, and that's even if Dan Campbell's around long enough for his system to be still in place. But um, I think this is the perfect game for Dak to come back to. They're not facing a formidable defense. He'll be able to take him maybe a quarter or so to get back into it. The Dallas defense is good enough to keep Jared Goff from scoring multiple touchdowns in the first quarter. This is all hopefully. I think they're good enough to do that, but who knows? I mean, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, DeMarcus Lawrence, Van Der Esch, Dorrance Armstrong, Anthony Brown. So I'm just listing names like they're who have all played very, very, very well in spots.
Donovan
And
Wilson.
have all been Donovan Wilson, all been consistent and been making plays all year. And that's just their unit is a lot more. Gosh, this is so unfortunate turning that off.
Your boy Malik Hooker's been looking pretty good as well. So
he's an all pro, Owen. Never forget. but yeah, I mean, this is the perfect game for Dak to come back to. He's not going to be going up against a very hellacious front. There's not going to be any secondary corners that he's going to have to not target. CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup should be well competent enough to get open. I mean, who knows? Maybe even Jalen Tolbert will catch a touchdown against the Lions defense. So I think your head's in the spot for picking this as a trap game, but this is the wrong opponent for you to pick as a trap game. But I mean, if you're right, I mean I would congratulate you. But also just you being right means that I have even more ammunition to come out here on Monday and laugh at Dak Prescott. So you cannot win in this situation. You're better off just picking them to win.
I do think looking at their stats, like you talked about, they average per game 428 yards allowed on defense, and they 34 points per game. They allow 167 yards rushing per game, and they allow 261 yards per game through the air. And those are not good numbers by any means. They're top 5, top 10 in um each um each area. But I think that um that any quarterback coming back from a thumb injury on their throwing hand, it'll take them a while to get back into it. And I obviously, as you and I both know, Dallas did not their defense was for the better part of the game was beat around last week. And I do think that this game is going to be more of can the defense respond or can they not? Because as 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 Jerry Jones said earlier, which this comment kind of shocked me. He was like, I think that he basically was talking about how he thinks that Goff is a really good quarterback, and if Goff can play up to Jerry Jones, which is his word, and if Dallas's defense does not really, if they kind of play sluggish or on the more sluggish side than they did last week, then as you and I both know, Dak takes far too long in a game to kind of get into his groove. And if he takes even longer due to his thumb injury, and if Jared Goff was to get rhythm, and if DeAndre Swift were to play, then I think that this game could kind of get out of hand pretty quickly. But who knows? And one thing that I wanted to say to you, because you were right, after the game last week, the interception that Jared Goff had on the go route or the streak with CeeDee Lamb. Ray texted me and said like CeeDee Lamb really should have given more effort, and I was like, no, like it was out of the play 100%. There was no way. But that's when you look at it from the TV perspective, but when you look at it from the sideline perspective, yeah, he should have given a bigger effort. And to Ray, to you, I apologize.
Mm.
Um, I think that it's night and day to see CD Lamb's demeanor when Dak is there and when um, Cooper Rush was in there. And I think that out of any player on this team, his body language is awful at times, and he can be a great receiver and all that. And I don't think that he has not um he's not lived up to the hype that he put on himself or that we kind of expected him to be. And it's worked out so far, but I don't think that's sustainable for him to be playing the way that he is right now. And sure, he's had some spurts like in the Giants game where he took over for a drive and had that one-handed catch, but also 45 minutes before that he had a wide open drop. So
I mean, if
but
you think about it, CeeDee Lamb is responsible for Cooper Rush not getting 200 plus passing yards in some of the games because he just drops everything.
this is
So
true.
maybe we should be upset with CeeDee Lamb for dropping the ball too much, literally dropping the ball.
Yeah, that,
But
that was
yeah,
bad.
continue,
But I
continue.
I, uh, I wanted to apologize to you, Ray, because I was very adamant about that not being on him.
Mm.
But you can see that when he goes down for the ball, he kind of just gets out of the way. I think in his head he was like, "Hey, if I don't go for this, then I get Dak back next week."
Yeah, CeeDee
Which
Lamb is the ultimate Cooper Rush hater.
yeah, he dethrones me apparently, according to Ray. But I do think that for any player, this is a team sport, and for you to have that, and I could be completely wrong that he just who knows, but his body language is pretty bad at times. I think that's not great. And you should not put on a pouty face when your quarterback's not in. Um,
I mean,
that's just not something.
I don't really know why he's so upset because even with Dak at quarterback, they don't seem to be on the same page.
Yeah,
So like it's really CeeDee Lamb is just an interesting character. I mean, he's like the ultimate. He's the ultimate circus clown. Um, he's very entertaining, but his performance gets bland over time. And at the end of the day, there's the the um, the guy blowing balloons across the field, and everyone wants to go get a balloon blown up, and that's Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So that is the situation that we are in. But I mean, I'll give you this: if the man behind me was playing on Sunday, I'd give the Lions a chance to win. That man is Megatron, Calvin Johnson. He is responsible for hurting me many different ways against the Cowboys. One of those games where he had 300 yards receiving. Um, and I saw Owen sent me a Twitter or a tweet about how if Roma was the quarterback and had a good defense, it would look like this, and it was a picture of Dak and Micah Parsons, and my response is the Detroit Lions Megatron 310-yard receiving day, um, and that sent a lot of pain and unfortunate suffering in my heart that day. But we'll move on from that. I don't want to think about it now. But Sunday it's going to be a much better occurrence. Jared Goff is. I'm not saying Jared Goff is a decent QB and he gets a bad rap. He's very serviceable. He deserves to start. He's better than half of the quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He's a middle of the pack guy who, if you give him pieces, he can do things. We've seen that with the Lions scoring 25 plus points a game, to close to 30. But I think that the Cowboys. I have faith in the Cowboys defense. How they've been able to. They're, like you said, they're number 2 or number 1 in sacks. They're very good at forcing negative plays for the offense, even against the Eagles when they were giving up a lot of yards and big plays. Um, Towards the middle of the game when Dallas rallied, they had a lot of they forced the Eagles into a lot of negative plays, sacked Jalen Hurts a couple of times, stopped Sanders in the backfield, forced incompletions. So they're very capable of doing those things, and it's just about starting fast, not getting. If I'm with you, if the Cowboys get behind in this game, there's going to be trouble. So I think the main thing for them is getting ahead early. That'll they'll be able to tee off on Jared Goff at that point and wreak havoc. But I mean, getting behind would be a little bit of disaster, especially with your quarterback coming back, like you said, and if the that's why I think that they're going to rely a little bit on the run, a little bit more this game. I mean, it would be easy for them to go pass happy with Dak back. I really hope they don't do that. That would be putting themselves in a position for failure. I mean, I need to stop talking because the more I talk, the more I'm convincing myself that they might actually blow this game. But
Thank you.
but
Trust me, I've seen way too many games that Dallas should have won, and they just does not. We both have, and it
I
doesn't.
I mean, I think the Lions are they just have not been. They've just lost so many games this year, and so I'm just gonna.
I think I should keep on talking before you change your.
No, it's okay. I got distracted by what was going on in the other room. No, so yeah, I think the Cowboys are gonna win. I'm gonna stick with that. My predictions have not ruined me. Um, I'm gonna stay put, stay firm. Cowboys are gonna be 5-2 after Sunday, and I'm gonna be happy and not sad. And Dak will not face my wrath on Monday.
And to make you feel better, when Zeke was talking to the reporters, and he mentioned that Dallas should still be a run first team. So
Good. I'm glad that Zeke knows he knows what's right for them. I'm
yes,
glad.
he
He's
does.
a smart guy.
Also, a little miniature break from reality. A few months ago, I said that the San Francisco 49ers would make it to the Super Bowl, and I was laughed at, I was judged, I was made out to be an imbecile.
I need
What
you to
did
make a point
the
of order. I need you to. There needs to be a point of order in there.
what do you mean
The
point of order?
Trey Lance is no
Oh,
longer there.
Trey Lance, sure, but last night during the Thursday night football game, the Panthers called up the 49ers and said, "Hey, do y'all want Christian McCaffrey?" They gave up a lot. I didn't think it was a lot, but when you look at the cap hits and everything, and yeah, it looks like the Alabama quarterback will be Bryce Young. Will be wearing Carolina blue in a few months, so DJ Moore will be happy. But I just
DJ
wanted
Moore is
to.
going to be gone too. He's next.
No, he's 20. He's only 24, 25. They're gonna keep him. They're gonna have to. His contract is immovable. And then Brian Burns you keep, but I think that it's like the whole. Personally, in my opinion, if you're in a rebuild, you got to keep at least a few young guys because
Can the Cowboys trade for Shaq Thompson?
um I mean I guess they could, but they
How
but
can we make that work? Well, maybe we'll ship them Anthony Brown. How about that?
no, because then you're not gonna have a cornerback, and you don't,
That's
and I know
okay.
you
We
don't
don't
want
need
to
a
play
cornerback.
Kelvin
We don't
Joseph.
need a cornerback.
I mean,
We
I think
have
you do.
we have Bland. He can play
Okay, so Bland is. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But I just wanted to say for all those who thought that I was crazy, they have, when healthy, top 5 running back. They gave up their whole future. They're probably going to pull a Rams and just trade everything. Um, but I was not expecting him to be traded, but the Carolina Panthers are in full rebuild mode.
Yeah. My only thing to say, I would, and you know me, I would be the first to congratulate you on predicting something. Well, number one, they are not in the Super Bowl yet, and two, my whole problem with your prediction was the fact that they were going to make the Super Bowl, and Trey Lance, who's basically a rookie at this point, first full season, and he was going to carry them through the playoffs and to the Super Bowl and ultimately win. And that's where I personally was laughing at you. If Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback, I'd say, yeah, they made it to the NFC Championship game twice in the last 3 years. They made it to the Super Bowl. Where basically a throw away from winning the Super Bowl. Um, so I could see the Jimmy Garoppolo led 49ers at least getting to the NFC Championship game and maybe playing the Packers and ultimately beating them. But I do think now with Christian McCaffrey, they have a very great shot. It allows Devo Samuel to be a wide receiver, which is what he wanted. Christian McCaffrey will take a lot of pressure off of Jimmy Garoppolo too. They'll be able to do a lot more running, design, swing passes, all that fun stuff. It'll open up the passing game because Jeff Wilson and Elijah Mitchell are okay, but they're nowhere near Christian McCaffrey's elite level of play. So that's going to really help them out. But the 49ers are still in injury purgatory right now. A lot of people are still injured on the defensive side. I think their left tackle is also still injured. I'm blanking on his name. He used to play for the Eagles, I think, or Washington.
No. Yeah, Trent Williams.
Trent Williams, yeah. He's still, I believe, hurt for at least another week. Um, but yeah, I definitely think this was a great move for the 49ers. It really improves their running game, allows Deebo Samuel to do a little bit less out of the backfield. It's ultimately a great fantasy move for me. Christian McCaffrey's fantasy totals are about to triple, so that's always nice. But yeah, I will give you half credit for saying that they will be a contender. However, I'm still not giving you credit because you said they were going to make it with the roster that was there before in the preseason and Trey Lance at quarterback.
Fair. Also, with the wide open NFC, like we haven't seen in the past few years, like anyone can really make it. The Eagles have a chance. I think like the top 5 teams in the NFC would probably now be, if you want to make a list with me, San Fran. Would San Fran be on your top 5 and in any order?
I mean, I think the Cowboys and the Eagles and maybe one other team are the only teams that are above 500 that are leading the division in the NFC. Um,
Giants.
The Giants too. I say the top contenders are, Philly, San Fran, um, let me pull up a list of the NFC.
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
think that we need.
The NFC is just weird. A lot of teams are not. I don't think the Pack. I don't think the Packers. The Packers will end up making the postseason. However, I don't think that they're a favorite or a
Yeah.
contender. Um, Contenders. I'd say Philly's a contender. San Fran, Minnesota. Um, uh, and honestly, yeah, I mean everyone's just I'd say yeah, Philly, Minnesota, Dallas, and San Fran are like the top four NFC teams this year. And then after that I'd have Green Bay and the Giants. So and like Green Bay, um they're the one team who's looked really bad, who I'd say will ultimately have the best chance of figuring it out just based on their quarterback and Aaron Jones and all that fun stuff. But I mean, losing Devontae Adams has really hurt them and hurt Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, honestly, I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers because as much as he's a polarizing figure for some, he still has to go out there and play with those fools at wide receiver. So it must be. If I were him, I'd be taking you know the drugs that he takes before the game to get through the those games too. Um, but yeah, I think the Packers
The
they're still
psychedelics.
exactly. Um,
A few days ago, he said in a press conference that the offense is too complicated, and then the head coach marched out, and a reporter said, "What did you think about Aaron Rodgers saying that the offense is too complicated?" And he said, "What is that supposed to mean?" So
well, it means that Matt LaFleur needs to stop being a loser
Aaron
and hand
Rodgers
the
can
ball off
never
to Aaron Jones.
ever take the blame. It's always someone else's fault.
You're right.
Because
It's
as Ray told me,
whoever decided it was a good idea to only give the ball to Aaron Jones four times needs to be fired immediately.
well, as Ray once told me, the top quarterbacks audible, and they call audible. So maybe if he was so upset with the offense, he would call better plays or he would call audibles. As a
No,
one Ray Nickens once told me.
I think I think the issue here is that when they're throwing the ball on first and second down, they're not Aaron Rodgers is not going to change and play from a pass to a run on 3rd and 10. So, and I mean, this is the reigning double MVP, and no, they're going to figure it out, Owen. They're going to figure it out.
So
They're going
that
to
is
make the
your hot
playoffs.
take for the
They're
whole.
going to win. They're going to beat. If they play Dallas in the postseason, you know who I'm picking. That's for sure.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's not the
100%.
Cowboys. Um,
No.
and all of this will be fine. But right now they look like an abysmal team that needs to start running the ball a lot more because when you run it, it makes your quarterback happy, it makes me happy, it makes the fans happy, and you don't have Sauce Gardner wearing cheese heads walking out of the stadium and into the tunnel. So that's all
What
I have to
is
say on that.
what is your score prediction for the Lions Dallas game? Because I have mine. So if you want me to go first, I can go first. But if you have one, by all means, please share it.
I'm going to say that the Cowboys will beat the Detroit Lions 27-19.
I think that I think the Lions will win um
Shocker.
21-17. I think that Detroit will go up early 14-0. Dak will take forever to figure it out. And then they'll try to come back, but it will not matter. So 21-17 to 27-19, as
You
Ray
know,
put it.
if you had the courage of your conviction, as one Skip Bayless would say, you would throw in a pick six.
No, no.
Will you throw
Dak
in a pick
doesn't throw pick
six?
sixes. Dak doesn't really throw pick sixes.
You should throw one in. He hasn't played since week one. He's a little bit nervous.
Is it
He's
is it
gonna
is
try
it
and
a
throw one to Noah Brown, and Noah Brown's gonna be looking at the cheerleader on the sideline. It's gonna bounce off his helmet, and Akuda's gonna take it to the house.
if it does that, if we're talking about like a pick six like last night where the wide receiver drops it, then fine. But if it's like a terrible throw, then no, I'm not. Dak has had some pretty bad throws, but I'll bet there'll be some lineman going in there to tackle the guy.
Mhm.
So no, if you want to give me another hot take to take
Mhm.
on a bet that you want to give
What
me, then
about a
by all
strip
means.
sack fumble return for a touchdown?
Unless Aiden Hutchinson is going to be able to get through three guys, I don't really think that Aleem McNeil, Michael Brockers, Charles Harris will be able to do that. And if they do, then I will come on here and I will be like, "Yep, this is a bad team." But I
All right.
don't think that.
But you can't do that because it's only, like I said, it's 1 week. They'll still be 4-3, which they won't because they're going to win and be 5-2. But they'll still be one game over 500. They'll still have a better record than the Packers.
Sadly, I finish. I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish what you were
No,
going to say.
I stopped myself because I think the Packers are in a bye, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Per-
yeah. Here, I'll change my pick. St. Brown's gonna
yeah.
go over 100 yards against Diggs.
Yes. Not against Diggs. It'll be against Brown. It won't be against Diggs. It'll be against Brown. Yeah, so go over 100. And he'll go over 101 touchdown.
That would be good. I need him to do that. My fantasy team is in desperate need of help since Jalen Hurts is on a bye week, and so is my other second string receiver. I forget his name. He's so out of the loop, but St. Brown needs to come back and go back to his 30-point performances. So I'm going to need that 10 receptions for 125 yards and a touchdown. That would be nice.
So here's the thing about these like you said, only 1 week. Right now, Dallas is in third place, and they're gonna have to jump the Eagles in the next. Sorry, jump the Giants in the next few weeks, and the Giants play. So here is their next few weeks. Now, bear with me with this one. They play the Jaguars, the Seahawks, the Texans, the Lions, and the Cowboys again. They're not losing anytime soon. So
the Cowboys aren't losing anytime soon either, and then they're going to beat the Giants and ultimately usurp them because they would have won the series against the Giants.
Yeah, but if
the
Giants have more wins, then that doesn't even matter.
You see, in this world, it's all about the division. If the Cowboys go 5-1 in the division, which is what I expect them to do, I don't see them losing or finishing any worse than second. And I already know that it's most likely that 3 out of the 4 teams in the East are going to be in the postseason because every other division is trash. So I can see the Eagles finishing at the 1 seed, the Cowboys at the 2 seed because they're going to have the second best record, or the 3 seed because San Fran's going to be the 2 seed. Cowboys at the 3 seed, Giants at the 4 seed, and then everyone else can figure it out after that.
It doesn't work. It wouldn't work like that. It would be because the first 4 seed do
Oh,
division.
you're right, because division leaders. Yeah, division
So
leaders.
Dallas
So it
would
would
either
be
get
Philly
6
at the
or
1
7
seed,
or 5.
Dallas at the 5 seed, and Giants at the 6 seed.
Okay. 2 points, and then you can say whatever it is you like to say. The Eagles are going up against the Steelers, which could be an interesting game. Texans, Commanders, Colts, and Packers. Which is whatever. But personally, the scariest part about this Eagles team right now is the fact that if the Saints keep on losing, they're gonna get a top 10 pick, and they're gonna be able to draft another player to add to that team, and hopefully the Saints figure it out. But if I were an Eagle fan, I'd feel pretty good about the way my team's going because there's a lot to be happy about in the next few months. But I do think that eventually the Eagles will come back down to earth. As you and I both said, there were a lot of flaws in that game. If you can stop the Eagles in the second quarter, then you're stopping them for the whole game. And you and I both said that. So um, Dallas plays them Christmas Eve, which means that Christmas will be ruined for me.
Mm,
Through all the stress and
same.
turmoil, I do think the NFL needs to stop putting Dallas on Thanksgiving and on Christmas so I can actually enjoy
Well,
Thanksgiving.
we do play the Giants on Thanksgiving, so that should be a win.
And it'll probably have division implications as well. Our luck will be in like the Giants, Cowboys, and Eagles will all have the same record, and it'll be like if Dallas wins, they're in first place, but if they lose, they're like no way to get in the playoffs. So ew, I don't want to do that.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
but
the good news is that the Eagles are facing the Indianapolis Colts, who are my dark horse AFC Championship team. And as of right
I
now, the
think
Colts are treading in the right direction. Matt Ryan had a phenomenal game last week, and Jonathan Taylor is back this week. Everything is moving into position as long as they can be consistent and run the ball and get Jonathan Taylor going. Everything will be smooth sailing. They're going to be the team that upsets the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, and then I will be on Twitter to celebrate,
yeah, we've been
and on
missing you
here
on
in
Twitter.
on this podcast to celebrate.
Hopefully you'll be back on Sunday.
I
We've
had
been
a quite
missing you.
on the personal tweet. Another shameless plug. I had a great tweet on the personal Twitter about LeBron and Kawhi. It was quite a good
Well,
tweet.
you should be on the All About America's team Twitter talking about this game because you've been saying you would be, and I have not been seeing too many
I get,
tweets.
you know me, I get depressed when they lose and
Oh
everything
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
go the
yeah.
way I want it to, and then I get sad. But
Well,
don't
it,
worry, don't worry. Dak is back. There's a lot more fun
Dak is
things for me
back.
to
I
tweet
like
about.
that.
Dak is
Dak is
back.
back.
I get to tweet about whenever he misses a throw. I mean, I can't really do that with Cooper Rush because all he does is either hand the ball off or throw an interception, and I don't want him to throw an interception. So why would I tweet about that? But now when Dak's back, all the I get my microscope out, I got a nitpick, and everything just kind of works out. So
Yeah,
there will
too
be
much.
tweeting from me. What time is the game? 12 o'clock.
Yeah, 12. So I will be coming out of church or post church lunch.
Well, the first thing you'll see coming out of church will be a tweet from me, um, talking about
Pick
how
six,
they
Jeff
throw too
Okuda.
much or something like that.
No, I
Yeah, could you imagine walking out of church and the first tweet you see is "I was right, pick six, Jeff Okuda."
if Dak throws a pick six, I don't know, man. He- I don't know.
Steak dinner.
I'll sure yes, steak dinner,
Okay,
steak dinner.
steak dinner. We just shook on it.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Well,
Well,
any other? I guess we could really quickly, Mr. Jerry threw Mr. Mike
oh,
onto the hot seat yesterday on his radio show, basically slandering him for not challenging what I thought was a very blatant first down by CeeDee Lamb in the first quarter against the Philadelphia Eagles last Sunday night. Basically, Jerry said that that was a very unfortunate mistake. It was obvious at first down, and that better not happen again this year. So, really, ultimately, I applaud Jerry for saying that publicly because it proves what I have been saying that Mike McCarthy really does not do very much when he is on the sideline. I believe this is the second or third challengeable call or play that he has missed this year. Um, and really, while Mike McCarthy does not really, Mike McCarthy has not really doesn't really have a job other than standing there because Dan Quinn is in charge of the defense, Fossil's in charge of the special teams, and Kellen Moore is in charge of the offense as the play caller. So really, all Mike McCarthy has to do is be around to either challenge things or call timeouts at the proper time, and we know that he struggles with both of those things. So
Is
overall,
it
I was
customary? No, you finish. You finish.
yeah, overall, I was happy to see that Jerry thought the same as I did about that play. In real time, when they were hurrying up on fourth down, I was really confused on why they weren't either calling a timeout and challenging it, or just taking their time for the officials, to ultimately review it themselves. And they ultimately quick snapped the Eagles, which was a bad idea. Rolled out Cooper Rush, which was another bad idea, and ultimately threw the ball, which was the third bad idea when they could have just handed it off to Zeke, who could have easily gotten a half a yard. So it was just all a great, horrible sequence. It really set the tone for the remainder of the game, and I was very upset. So it was glad to see that Jerry was also upset. Your thoughts?
I think that this is going to cause Mike McCarthy to be challenge happy next week, which is never a good thing. I think that
You only
when
get
you're the direct
two,
boss,
so he could
yeah, and
just
he'll
lose both
probably
of them.
use two on like some very terrible calls. I think that these are type of things that need to be kept behind closed doors. I don't. Jerry is gonna say whatever he wants, and as you and I both know, he cursed out the commissioner and then was like, "I probably shouldn't have said that." So I'll have to check. I don't really know how many.
I want Jerry to be the commissioner of the NFL.
Oh brother, I don't know how many coaches there are that call plays either way. So I'd have to look into that. But who knows? I don't know.
I mean,
I
the
I I
the
think I
thing
think
the
Jerry's smart. I think
he's a
that
very
Jerry does
smart
these
guy.
things. I think Jerry does these things in the back of his mind. He's like, okay, if I talk bad about Mike McCarthy, then there'll be a big like who's in the hot seat next Dallas coach, and then Sean Payton gets brought up, and then views get up or through the roof. So I think he's smart. He's a very good marketer, and he's great. Now, do I think that he's actually mad at Mike McCarthy? No. If he was mad at Mike McCarthy, he would have fired him. If we're all being honest here, this is a big game. If he was actually mad, if he was actually upset, then first actually we will see how upset he was going into next week. If there's like a really close play and he just throws a challenge flag, then you and I will both know what happened, and you can tweet it or whatever you want to do. But I don't know.
No, I think you're right in the fact that Jerry's a good marketer. He is a very prestigious businessman. He does everything he does is to get revenue. That's why the Cowboys are the most um, financially inclusive brand in all of sports, generating over $100 billion, um, or a billion dollars, generating over $1 billion, or maybe it is 100 billion. I don't know. I don't know. I do
A
not have
lot of
the.
money.
I will.
A lot
I
of
will
money.
Google right now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I do
very
think
good
that Jerry
marketer.
Jones is frustrated with Mike McCarthy, but I do agree that he's not going to fire him, because if he fires him, then he has to either pick 8 billion, first franchise worth $8 billion, very rich. But anyway, he's not going to fire Mike McCarthy because then he'll either have to find another puppet coach, which Jerry loves his puppet coaches because that lets Jerry do whatever he wants, or he's going to have to pick a coach who actually wants power, aka Sean Payton,
He'd
and
have
he
to
won't be able
trade for
to
Sean Payton, like first round
find
pick.
him. That's okay. We don't need a first round pick anyway. But Any,
Yes, we
anyway,
do.
we he's not going to do that, because if he does that, he's going to lose his ability to coach the team from afar, because the coach is not going to let him coach the team from afar, and it's going to be a situation that he does not want. So he's going to ride Mike McCarthy until he can't ride him anymore. Which I think if the Cowboys were to blow another wild card playoff game, that will be the end of Mike McCarthy. Um, but I mean, we did witness Jason Garrett keep his job for 6+ seasons, where he should have only kept it for 2. But I think Jerry is not going to do the same thing twice. While he does does very annoying things, he doesn't make the same mistakes over and over again. He just has a system. He hires his coaches that allows him to do whatever he wants, and then ultimately, um, will eventually get tired of them because they're not winning or doing proper things. But then you ask the question, you're like, Jerry, if you don't like how this guy is coaching, why'd you hire him? And then that's where we get back to the he wants to have ultimate control and say over everything that happens, other than playing the actual game. So, and honestly, I wonder if Jerry told Mike McCarthy to shave his beard too, because he went from having the full on beard last season to now he's clean shaven like me. Um, so very, very
It's
interesting
playoff
question that I
beard.
hope will be
Keep it for the
answered by
playoff.
next week.
Well,
Keep it for the That's all I kind of have to say
for
on that.
Monday. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This week, hope it's a good one, but if it's not, then it's
If it's not a
hope
good
for the best.
week, Owen will be 2-5, and I will be 4-3.
No one wants to live. No one wants to live in a world where Owen makes good football decisions and good football picks. So please, no one wants that.
Yeah.
But
So but if Dak Prescott, wonder how many people, if yeah, never mind. If we'll just not even think about losing. We are a happy show. We have hope in our hearts. The Cowboys are going to get out of this week 5-2, and then we'll be excited to talk about the Chicago Bears matchup, which is an even more winnable matchup than this one.
yeah.
But yeah,
But
tune in for Twitter on Sunday. I promise, pinky promise, everyone, I will tweet more than 10 times on Sunday regarding the Cowboys. Pinky
thank you
promise.
everyone
I
for
don't
tuning
prank
in.
pinky promises.
No, we're glad to have you back. But thank you for listening and tuning into us. Hopefully everyone was a fan of Ray and his Calvin Johnson background and everything like that. Um, and yes, as Ray mentioned, he is 4-2, and I am 1-5, and that is all y'all need to know about our football expertise.
Oh
But we
boy.
hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great weekend, and hopefully everyone has a good weekend and can ride this Cowboys win or loss potentially into next week and have a great week. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. And shameless plug, if anyone is unfortunately in Waco for Baylor homecoming, come to the homecoming parade to see Fiji's amazing float. It's going to be quite the Islander theme. We got a volcano. It's going to be great.
I know I'll be there.
Shameless plug. Yes.
Go
All right.
Cowboys.
Go
Have a great
Cowboys,
rest of your
everyone.
week.
Have a great weekend.